Hi, my name is Walter, and I'm the Dutch mentor. Happy 4th of July. I want to start first. We need to remember why we celebrate this day, at least once a year, of course. We have to remember that all the great things that have happened throughout the 200 plus years of our existence, not all of it pleasant, but all of them we learned from. And that is no different when it comes down to leadership. There will be great moments and there will be moments of despair along the route, along your journey. So today I wanted to take advantage of the time and not asking a guest to join me. Again, of course, next week we'll be right back with a great guest to talk about topics of interest and their leadership insight and what enhanced them to climb the career ladder. Today I wanted to take a step back and take this opportunity for the next 15, 20 minutes just to go over what it is that I have observed of interviewing many leaders in the industry, having experienced the journey myself as going from a great doer to becoming a leader and the struggle that came along with that, to the recovery phase, right? When the light came on and said, listen, there's a better way of doing it, to creating what I now refer to as the Dutch mentor in September of last year when we started hosting our first cohort. We're already on our number 5 cohort starting on July 20th. It's been a phenomenal year. It's been a phenomenal year because I have received feedback from our students of the impact that it has had on them as leaders. They finally found the tools that they needed all along in order to be able to lead from a higher level, lead from the top of their license, top of their privilege. Of course, it's not the one and out. My philosophy of learning is very simple. There's nothing that I can do today in this moment that I can tell you that it'll have an impact on you that changes your habits overnight. But what I do know is that if you stick with it for a long period of time, you will be able to change your habits and behaviors into new normals. And that is what you see on the screen over here, right? It's the human reaction to becoming a leader. And that is a problem if we don't guide those folks. Often we recognize the high performer, the high potential leader, or leader in the making in our organizations. They apply for that supervisor job, manager job, director job. And lo and behold, of course, they are superstars in the interview. They get the job. But then we don't provide them with the support necessary over a sustained period of time in order to allow them to become a high performer, high potential leader. Often they end up in that valley of despair. There's a big, steep, not rise, but there's a deep, steep fall when you go from doing to leading. Because we haven't spent enough time preparing the people to really become great listeners and become coaches and to understand what it takes to lead people and to manage process. So by default, many of those leaders end up doing it themselves. They don't understand the value of shifting the authority from you to the next potential leader, or how to motivate their team members on an individual basis to get the most out of them, to engage them. They don't understand the value of taking care of the wellness of their leaders or their team members. So it is really the magic of coaching for success over a sustained period of time, 90 to 120 days. And I would even say well beyond that, at least for the first year, to get them up to speed, have them go from that forming to that storming period to norming and then performing. There is no great athlete in the world that became great without a good coach or a good mentor. I've broken down the best approach from what I've done and what I have seen in the research that I've done with my students and the previous companies I've worked for. It's a simple 70-20-10 approach. 70% is on the job learning by taking action, by actually applying the strategies that we are talking about one by one, to measure them very carefully for sustained results and to learn to take countermeasures when things are not working or hold yourself accountable if you are not doing the things you say that you will be doing. That's a daily commitment and a weekly accountability. It is about making sure that we have a coach and a mentor, either internal or external. We spend all kinds of money in recruiting. We spend all kinds of money in covering the bases when somebody abruptly leaves, but we don't spend money on coaching. I pride myself on the fact that I said from day one, I wanted to do something very different. I want to create 360 leaders, by people who can manage in any direction, process wise, who can lead in any direction, both up and down and sideways. But it starts by understanding that wellness of the people that you work with is the key driver to engagement. So everything that we do starts off with, what is it that I need to do for myself every single day? And it would be in order to be the best version of myself. That's how we're going to start learning how to measure. By using an individual development plan right out of the gate, you could set a vision for yourself as long as it's aligned with the organization that you work for. We'll learn how to close the gap between where you are today and what your desired behavior is, what your desired skill set needs to be in order to meet the goals of the organization and the position that you're in currently. So it is about making sure that we provide continuous support to our team members. Now, there are many ways of doing that. So again, 70% is on the job, taking action, measuring for success over a sustained period of time. 2 is about having a coach and a mentor. It will pay dividends. And the last 10% is to make sure if you have any gaps in formal education, you go back to school. Now, interesting enough, many of my students, especially in our Pure Leadership Academy 6-week course, are folks who graduated with the MHA, the MBAs, MPAs. Even some of them have doctorate degrees from nursing and our physician leaders. They get a great education in our large institutions, but they don't get a great education on how to become highly effective leaders by taking some fundamental steps in order to be able to lead as a 360 leader, as a servant leader, as a selfless leader. And that's really the key that we want to change, right? Is that I don't want to give you just information and leave you on your own. The program is always supported by a weekly 30-minute one-to-one individualized coaching supported by cohort-driven sessions. And let me give you a quick glimpse of what that looks like. All right, the Academy is once a week for 15 weeks, 90 minutes, supported by 30 minutes of one-to-one coaching. And from all the students, that's the key differential. Right, we all can go to the classroom, we all can learn independently, but to take action is a whole different ball of wax, especially in a busy environment. By working with me directly, not only do you have individualized approach, whatever you need in your business model, your division, your group, your team, but also there's weekly accountability to gain traction. We'll talk about the same things over and over and over to make sure that you are starting to establish these new habits and behaviors. God bless you if you can do this on your own, but very few people can do this on their own. We are not disciplined enough because, again, we are doers for the most part. But we need to understand the value of separating out doing, improving, looking for opportunities, and thinking about the future. And of course, that changes depending on where you are in the hierarchy. So I want to take the next step is talking about the 5-step approach in the academy. Now, the first step, the pure leadership model, we actually have carved out into a 6-week focus class for students at $1,850. It's a phenomenal opportunity. Comes with 3.5 hours of one-to-one coaching. So just think about the value, 3.5 hours of coaching, 6 90-minute classes is phenomenal. And in that pure leadership model, we're taking, again, an approach, just like we do with the academy. We will always develop an individual development plan. We'll start establishing your personal brand. Who are you? You get to learn to tell a story when you meet new people. We have a pretty high success rate. I think it's 4 out of 5 people, and the fifth person is still being interviewed today, of people who have gone through the programs and they've been in a position for promotion and actually got their jobs partially based on the prep that we did in our classes. And I'll give that extra, right? Once you're in the Dutch membership, you're part of my family. I'm here to help you be successful. That's where I get the greatest joy and the greatest energy. The Pure Leadership Power Module is about learning to understand what is your current behavior. Understand from where you lead. Is it pride and ego? Is it from dependent or interdependent insecurity? Or do you already have some of the qualities of a 360 leader, a servant leader, but want to strengthen them? The key thing is you learn how to be an outward leader, right? A 360 leader is about others, not about yourself. And how to strengthen your talents and leverage them, how to bring in a highly diversified team together. You get to understand things from an assertive feedback, a 360 survey. Again, that's the key lesson. That's how you set yourself up for success, by establishing a desired behavior. And we start closing the gap. We're going to start measuring, very specific to you as an individual, on how we can close that gap. After that, we're going to start shifting more to outward, right? How can I be responsible as a leader? The 4 key responsibilities: love those you lead through context and not control, creating that winning environment, physical and psychological safety, and learning to execute with great focus. Now, each of these lessons requires you to take a small action. And again, you can measure the actions in order to drive results. Albeit there's something as small as putting a quick reminder on your calendar every morning to show somebody a little love. Write people a personalized thank you card. There's nothing more powerful. The next thing is about learning to motivate with fierce resolve. This is where we learn how to have difficult conversations, get the competency and the confidence to have these conversations. This is not about devaluing people or yelling at them, right? This is about learning how to separate somebody's worth from their performance. How to manage up before we manage out. How we allow the person to retain the opportunity to set the action. It's about engaging both the non-supporter, the saboteur, the over, the covert, non-compliant, as well as our high performers, the owners or the owners in the making. Right? That ratio of 3 times love and 1 times tough love. And then we put it together to build our genuine partnerships, right? We sometimes have to have more than just a relationship with somebody. But what kind of partnership do you need? What is a partnership like today? Again, we do a quick gap analysis there and then utilize the tools that we've learned up to this point in time on how to apply them effectively. And there's so much more, right? But I can't cover it all. It is exciting stuff. The key thing is you get to take action right away and start trying this out and start measuring your results, knowing that if you measure it for a long period of time, 90, 120 days and beyond, it is likely to be very successful. At least that's what the folks who have gone to the academy have told me. Then we start shifting about solving problems at root cause. There's a notion in healthcare especially, but this holds true in most companies I'm working with now, from production companies to fast growth companies to new startups. We base a lot of our decisions on assumptions, and that's dangerous. We need to learn to collect the right data. Really, it starts with we need to start learning not to want to boil the ocean. We need to focus into what is the problem and how can we understand what the gap is between what we are doing today and what our desired outcome is, right? What our target is. So I apply A3 thinking here. And the cool thing is, if you're the buyer, if you're the payer for your team members here, each team member gets to bring a real problem to the table. We'll solve it all the way to piloting in class in the Leadership Academy. And many of them have come up with projects that have paid for us 10 times over. The top performer right now is $135,000 that paid for the whole entire group to come to the academy with money left over. So extremely powerful opportunity, but learning to solve the problem at the root cause is the key here. And interesting enough, just like we have talked about before, it often is rooted in behavior. It is once you understand your behavioral pattern, supported by high and great technical strength and technical ability, that's when you start driving performance. So now that you have learned about yourself and you have learned how to solve problems with a small team on the root cause, it's time to establish this rhythm within the organization itself in order to be able to execute flawlessly every day, having the right people in the right roles, making sure that we are unified as a team. Remember, a winning environment is not about I win, you lose, or I lose, you win. It's about finding that common understanding, that common bond. Each one of us has to give a little bit. Right? The country needs that a little bit more, right? Having that ability to have civil discord behind closed doors, but then walk away from it that we are unified with measurable objectives and meaningful metrics. And the key here is, of course, to establish that weekly accountability. Did I do what I said I was going to do this week? And if not, what are the consequences? Why not? No excuses. Why not? And overcome that and set new goals for the next week, not next month or next quarter. We need to stop measuring outcome metrics on a quarterly basis. Too much time passes when things are trending in the wrong direction. Daily measurements, weekly accountability leads to better outcomes, and it actually accelerates performance. Of course, part of the leadership responsibility is about succession planning and planning for the future and looking for opportunities and making sure that we respond to events, and they will certainly happen no matter where you are. So here we talk about behavior smarts. We talk about learning to respond rather than to react and how to always be ready. How can I plan and mitigate and practice for the unknown of what is likely to happen? And then we're supported by a finance module. Again, the MPA, the MBA, the MHA, all doing a great job. But for some reason, they kind of sort of skip that part of that. What is my responsibility in the operations budget? What is a P&L? How do I manage a P&L? So we help break that down for you, both one-on-one as well as in class. And then how to set up a successful capital project and request to the Value Analysis Committee. Again, this is our 5-step approach to becoming a phenomenal 360 leader, a servant leader, a selfless leader. It's about making sure that you have the skills, knowledge, and abilities to lead effectively and learn to shift that from storming all of the time or leading well below your privilege to learning to lead at or your privilege and set yourself up for success by making sure that your team is a success. Now, leaders, if you're still with me here, I think we need to go back and reassess. How did we get to where we are today in the VP, executive VP, CEO, COO type level, chief nursing officer, chief medical officer? That did not happen without help along the way. Too often I hear, well, that's not for us, or, we have no money for that. I say we cannot afford not to do it. Think about the hidden cost of recruiting and onboarding and covering with overtime versus identifying your stars, your high potential, high performers, even those diamonds in the rough, by providing hope and opportunity. And as I call today on 4th of July, give them the independence, the support necessary to thrive, to learn to lead at the top of their privilege. The return on investment will be absolutely astonishing for you. If you have any more questions, by all means, reach out to me at thedutchmentor.com or reach out to me at thedutchmentor@gmail.com. Set up a free consult. Let's have a chat. On the screen, I have a testimonial of one of my students of cohort number 3. Bright young men has been coming through the ranks over the last couple, 3 years. Is newer in the role as a regional manager with Robert Wood Johnson. We had a phenomenal experience over the last 16 weeks. And I think you can see from his comments that it was truly value adding to him as well. And how do I know? He's actually telling his team about it. He wants to pay it forward. So you too, as leaders, as well as folks who are in the pipeline to become future leaders, the key to our success is to take action, to actually do something about it. Right? We cannot wait for another 4-hour class or 8-hour class, another webinar or conference. Hey, listen, I love going to them as well. But I also know and realize by Monday morning, I've forgotten most of it. We need to take action. It is really when we take action, when we work in that 70-20-10 approach, on the job learning, on the job taking action, learning to measure, learning to execute, recovering from our mistakes, and moving forward over and over and over is where the difference comes in. And that will be noticed at your next interview. That will be noticed the next time you look at your P&L. The cost reductions by problem solving things at the root cause, or creating new ideas, new innovation, new growth, transformation, or cost reductions, it will all pay for itself 10 times over. So again, on 4th of July today, 2022, celebrate the birth of our nation. Celebrate your team members. Set them free. Give them the independence from leading from the bottom. Give them the power, the empowerment to lead from the top of their license, the top of their privilege. If you are a resident in your 3rd or 4th year, you're about to graduate and become a doctor. It would be great for you to learn some fundamental leadership skills, because you know what? The second you step out, even as a 4th-year student doing rotations, and certainly as a resident, you will be looked upon as a leader. And you cannot just lean on your clinical skills. Nurses on the front line today who are looking at a future for their families, who want to be the next assistant nurse manager or nurse manager and go beyond. This is a great opportunity for you to come join. We have several success stories of people who are promoted quickly after the program because they finally had the confidence to do the job along with the skills, knowledge, and abilities. Administrators, doctors, nurses, startup companies, general managers. Again, it is about taking action. So give me a call, set up a free consult. It is really 2 to 3 members of your organization. When you come together into the cohort, it will have the most powerful. You can lean on each other as we go through the program. Take action. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy your barbecues. Be safe, and we'll talk soon again. Come back next week for our Monday morning chat about leadership. I have a whole series set up over the next 2 to 3 months. You will have phenomenal leaders in the industry sharing their stories. Come join us, and we'll talk soon again. Take care, and have a happy 4th of July.